dignity as persons living and traversing humanity. That is the issue of healthcare as service delivery. We saw last week when health correspondent Joseph Kadiri brought a report from the Ministry of Health. The federal government issued a guideline for tissue and organ transplant, and they're saying, look, we need to look at all of this, get it standardized in line with global best practice. And once we do this, the issue of tissue organ transplant, Nigeria will be having it properly standardized, and maybe also for those who will be going out for treatment, for those who are also having the treatment in-house in the country, because it's not being done very well, everyone will be on the same page. Again, my name is Ikaro Atta, and this morning we'll be discussing with one foremost Abuja medical practitioner, someone who appears to have carved a niche for himself in the medical profession here, Dr. Christopher, they call him Chris, Dr. Christopher Otabor, the medical director of Alliance Hospital. Welcome to our studio, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's quickly go in here. I don't know the state we are in now when it comes to organ and tissue transplant, because for now it appears we still have persons going to other civilizations.
Yeah, the burden of organ failure, particularly kidney failure, is huge in Nigeria, and thousands of people are dying every year from kidney failure, and there's not much that is happening in the transplant space, and that's what necessitated hospitals like us to take the bull by the horn and looking at the scanty legislation that was hitherto present. That's the National Health Act of 2014. It just gave a few lines about, the general principles of the laws that guide the organ transplant. But in that National Health Act, it specifically mentioned a particular committee that should be domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Health, the National Tertiary Institution Standards Committee. That committee is supposed to regulate the practice of organ transplant, not just kidney, all organs, whether cornea, even in vitro fertilization, sperm, egg donation, and so on and so forth. So that committee never came to light until last year, when one of the newspapers carried a story that resulted in so much hula balloon in the press, and the case is still on, but the truth is coming out gradually now.
Okay, now let's not come now. Before we talk about the guidelines here, why do we have very extreme organ failure?
Well,
someone said compared to China and Japan, we are not doing well at all. We just have it keeps reoccurring.
Yeah, ultimately, most things that go wrong in our health, in our internal environment.
Let's say our body. Because when you say internal environment as a doctor, somebody will not understand that it is his own body.
So most things that go wrong in our bodies would ultimately affect one end organ or the other.
Okay.
Yes, for instance, let's take high blood pressure. High blood pressure is one of the commonest causes of kidney failure. A lot of people don't know. If blood pressure is not controlled,
it's not stroke. Because from what we know out there, that it causes stroke.
It can cause stroke, but it's also one of the commonest causes of kidney failure. Okay. When you have an extremely high blood pressure, the kidney take the heat, and when the blood is coming at such a high pressure, it damages the blood vessels and the tissues of the kidney. So when you have a huge number of people who don't even know that they have high blood pressure, let alone taking medications for control, those who know will tell you that they don't even have money to buy.
What about those who say that they don't want to take?
Some, for religious reasons or acting their faith, say they don't want to take. Another one is diabetes. Diabetes is perhaps the commonest cause of kidney failure. And we have a lot of people who don't even know that they are diabetic. And sometimes they just collapse in the house, go unconscious, they rush them to the hospital, you check their blood sugar, it's in the roof. But in settings where regular medical check is done, at least once in a year or once in 6 months, you get to know what your numbers are, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and then infection is reduced to the barest minimum. So such environment, there will be a commensurate reduction in the number of cases of kidney failure. Then we take a lot of concoctions, things that we don't even know about. People are traveling and they get to the motor park and somebody is mixing so many things together for them, and then they are drinking with alcohol inside. And they are drinking it with relish, not even know what they are drinking. But
they believe that those ones they call bitters have a way of stimulating them, making them high. Sexually, they perform optimally and makes their partner very satisfied. That would stop the person from going to seek other partners.
Well, I mean, you can add aphrodisiac to anything. But what I'm saying is, have you seen those young ladies hawking different colored medication
with roots inside?
We don't know what those things contain. And when you take them, there's a limit to which your kidney can resist some of those toxins. They can knock down the kidneys. So these are some of the issues. Then with the prevalence of HIV, HIV also causes kidney failure in its own right. So all those problems put together has heightened the number of kidney failure, organ failure that we are having. So you can see that illiteracy, poverty, and lack of awareness about our health status can predispose to increased number of.
But we'll come to the medical aspect now. Some are saying about our lifestyle can help us solve all of this. Is it true?
Well, lifestyle modification is one of the ways in which we can maintain good health, and therefore organ health. Of course, you have to exercise. It's good for your body. You eat moderately and avoid risky sexual behavior, and go to check up regularly. Those things they help to keep you within the safe zone.
But some believe when it comes to the issue of lifestyle modification, sometimes you don't get the gratification of existence. You are living, you are checking how you live your sex life, how you live your alcohol life, how you live your this life, and the concept of something must kill a man. We love that, particularly when we lost morality. Something must kill a man.
That's one of the most irresponsible statements that
but it's involved in the social media.
Yes, they make such statements to justify, some inappropriate behavior, some very strange behaviors. Something must kill you, but must you die in such an irresponsible way? So, with lifestyle modification, it's when you get information, new information is supposed to lead to action, and that action can change your destiny. So if you receive information that I see a lot of patients every time, and I talk to them about lifestyle, and they are very pleased because many of them didn't know, that what they were doing was taking a toll on their health. So if you get to find out that if you change your behavior, you can improve your health, I'm sure everybody will want to do that.
Okay, now let's come back to the issue of specifically the guidelines for tissue and kidney transplant here now.
Yes.
Now, what are the specific details? For those who may be watching us, it may not be a topic that many persons are deeply aware of. People may need to take cognizance, you may need to learn it, you may need to know, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. Your kidney may be okay today, everything, you may need one tomorrow and all of that. What are the specific guidelines?
Okay, so
we will have an organ bank.
To answer the question straight, there's really nothing like organ bank.
Okay.
There's a lot of misconception.
But I had people talk about it, and
there's a lot of misconception that is going on in this country, and there's a lot of ignorance.
Okay.
Many people think that
when you can just come out, because there was one time when Dr. Kekere in Jos was raining, and he said he was harvesting people's kidneys, you know. And I'm like, this is preposterous. Because for you to be able to do a kidney transplant or take a kidney from someone, it takes months of planning, and you are preparing two people for surgery, the recipient and the donor. And if you take a kidney out of a human being, okay, it cannot stay 5 minutes outside that human being. It must go into the next person. Otherwise, that kidney is useless. So a lot of people think that you can just corner somebody into your theater, remove his kidney, put in the fridge. Whenever you
and the comedians will act it.
Whenever you see someone who needs kidney, you just go and give it. It doesn't work that way. The surgeries are synchronous and simultaneous. You are operating on this patient who is giving the kidney. You are operating on the one receiving the kidney at the same time. So as the kidneys, you have already opened up the recipient. As you are taking it out from the donor, you are transporting it into the recipient, and they start attaching it. And so it's two sets of theater with almost 30 professionals working at the same time to get the job done. So we must understand that. So because when you talk about organ bank, the idea is that
you have someone like a blood bank.
Yes, a blood bank. No, it's not like that. We have living donor. People will say, well, I want to donate my kidney, I can still be alive. Some others will say, if I get to a point where I'm no longer useful to myself, or maybe I'm brain dead, or people who have terminal illness, they can sign that my organ can be given to somebody. So those people, they have a register in the advanced countries. Whenever anything happens to them, then their organs are taken and given to the people that need them. But in the sense of organ bank, like that, where you go and store organs, it doesn't work that way.
Okay, now, if we look at streamlining the system and how it works here, don't you think advocacy is key? Because looking at what happens to the Ekweremadu family in London, somehow, somewhat, some information may not be getting, some donor can act very funny at some point.
Well, that's the whole idea behind this national guideline that we spoke about. Laws govern people within jurisdiction.
Correct.
What is legal in Nigeria may be illegal in the UK. Yes. Ekweremadu was unfortunate because he was not addressed with the laws in the UK, and so he fell victim. You know, in my practice, in our hospital, we get patients who fly in from other countries with their donors to do surgery in our hospital, and they go back after 2 weeks with their donors. Okay?
Yeah.
Why didn't they do it in the country where they are coming from? Because the laws will not allow them. In some countries, for you to donate kidney to another person, you must be blood related. But in other countries, you don't have to be blood related. In Nigeria, you don't have to be blood related. So these are issues.
That means if you want to donate kidney, you'll be looking for O positive and all of that.
There's what we call typing. You have to type the tissue to make sure that they match. Okay. So you don't have rejection. Yes. So, but coming back to this guideline, the guideline is a broad document, quite a voluminous document, and I commend the committee for a good job, and also the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Salako, for taking the bull by the horn and establishing this baseline. At least it's a reference point. You know, the scripture says that where there is no law, there is no sin.
That's true.
Because sin is a transgression of the law. Yes. So before now, people did what they liked or what they thought was right. Okay, but they were kicked back here and there, you know. But now, the stage is set now. First of all, the document identified which hospital in the first place is qualified to undertake organ transplant. You must have basic minimum. You can't be struggling into one theater and you say you want to be doing kidney transplant. If you don't have a CT scan, you cannot talk of doing a kidney transplant. the minimum is 2 theatres. You must have an X-ray machine. You must have a CT scan and other requirements. Then, with time, the committee would be they will be certifying hospitals after all the inspections. We say, okay, we consider you fit to do this. Then there are also regulations that has to do with the donors. Organ donors needs to be protected. They need to be protected in terms of they must check the boxes. A minor cannot donate, and you cannot donate for pecuniary reasons. You can't collect money and sell your organ. That's against the law.
Well, is it not your organ?
That's against the law.
Which law? Is it not? It's my organ. I feel like I don't need my organ again. I want to. It's like I using my whole body to work, stressing the body. When it comes to organ, why can't I let the organ go? Now, I'm only asking you as the owner of the organ.
I didn't write the law.
I agree. No, the owner, I own my organ.
Yes.
If somebody say, okay, you need long fingernails, and I grow the nails, I cut the nails.
Are you aware that suicide is illegal?
But then after death,
it's just like
I know. I agree with you.
I own my life.
So when I finish dying, you me to where? Some of those laws.
No, if you fail in the act, you can be prosecuted
for willing to die.
For attempting to take your life.
To die.
Because you didn't make your life. You didn't give yourself life. Yes. So death is death. Exactly. So that's that. So. The laws are clearly, the guidelines are stated. What the qualifications for people to be able to donate. Yes, and so the caregivers and even the public must know that.
But we talk about kidney. Is kidney the only thing we donate?
Is by far the commonest.
Or the most complex?
Not the most complex. Other organs are more complex.
What about reproductive organs?
See, those we are talking of IVF now.
Yeah.
Those ones, people donate their sperm, people donate egg, and all that. Those ones are quite simple.
But they are still organs.
Well, yeah, somehow they come under this regulation.
Yeah.
This national guideline on organ and tissue transplant.
So anyone who decides to sell his own semen now will be arrested.
Well, I have not looked at the.
Or is it for only kidney?
I've studied that of the kidney, but for that of the kidney you cannot. But there's a place for compensation where you can be given money for your transport or something to sustain you to recuperate properly, but you cannot sell it. Yes, unfortunately, poverty is driving a lot of actions in Nigeria. And then you find people who try to bypass the bends in the law in order for them to put money in their pocket.
All the mosquito nets we see is they are all written not for sale, and they are all in the market being sold.
So a lot of young guys who are aware of the fact that they can make money from desperate potential recipients of kidneys, they try as much as possible to, because we've been doing kidney transplants for almost 10 years now. Last week I saw one of our patients that we operated 2019. He was rushed, brought in unconscious. After once we just diagnosed him to have kidney
failure. 2019?
Yes,
okay.
Kidney failure. So we did dialysis for him. He came back alive, and then we told him that he needs to have a transplant. But within a year, he was able to have his transplant done. And when I saw him last week, I was like, wow, life is good. The guy is fresh, looking good. That's 6 years after I still doing so well. Yeah, so the law is meant to protect the vulnerable. But sometimes the vulnerable are also not interested in that protection.
What if the vulnerable is not sincere? That's where you have a case of someone going through a kidney transplant and coming to say, okay, no, we had an agreement, or they ought to pay me this, they never pay me this, they wanted to use me, they forced me, and all of those things, and lies are fabricated and are used against the medical facilities, or used against the person, like a Koremadu's case.
That is on one hand. But the one that's even more common is a situation where a young guy goes to court, because part of the conditions we gave before these guidelines came was that you must go to court and get a document, an affidavit stating your age and the fact that you're not collecting money from anybody and your relationship with the patient, with the recipient. So they go to court and do all that, and they lie even in that affidavit. So if the court has said that, has given you an affidavit that states that you are above 18 and that you didn't collect money and all that, who am I to stop?
Say that you collect,
exactly. But what we find out later is that behind the scene,
you collect money.
Outside the hospital, money had taken exchange hands before they come to present themselves to the...
But that shouldn't be a business.
Exactly. That's where we had issues in. I'm sure you are aware of the case we had.
The one at Suba.
Still pending. Exactly. That was exactly what was happening. But I think that those prosecutors were overzealous, but the truth is already coming out. Yes. So the laws are to protect the donors so that the donors are not exploited.
Okay.
Yes. And then, so I've talked about the laws guiding the minimum standard for the hospitals that will be doing the transplant, and then there will be a registry, and that registry will tell you which hospitals are doing what and their results, how many transplants they have done, how many survived, how many are alive, in 5 years, and stuff, and so on and so forth. It's a very robust document that when internalized, it will...
Okay, quickly now, as our time flies, what about the enforcement? Can we enforce it? Is it when we do these guidelines, most times the minister goes back to his SCUSI office, this one goes back, sometimes no diesel, sometimes no Hilux, sometimes no vehicle, and the next thing they all wait for one social media case or one lie to start to enforce compliance.
Okay, so the National Tertiary Institutions Standard Committee, the Health Standard Committee, that committee is saddled with the responsibility not only to bring out these guidelines, but also to operationalize it and to ensure that it is sustained.
Okay.
Yes, so they just started their work. This is the first stage of their work by bringing out guidelines. But going forward, they would now start certifying hospitals based on their competencies. And then they will also ensure that they create a register where all the information about each center comes in. Then later on, they will now create a register for donors and recipients. In the UK and in Canada, those who are waiting for kidney transplant, they are put in line. So then they are waiting for donors to show up. Whenever donors show up, they match, and that they match, they have it. So it's not, you don't even get to even know the people. Let's say there's someone in Colorado who said, well, if I become brain dead, please take my kidney. And another person in California who is looking for a kidney. So they can match them. Yes.
So that means we're sure that it's going to revolutionize and change how we do organ transplant and what happens around that particular area of medicine.
Yes, hoping that the committee does not remove their feet from the gas. Because
you are conditionalizing. You are making that the condition. You are conditionalizing it now.
Because see, the committee was instituted for many years. They never even rose. It was after that media war that it fought against Alliance Hospital that the committee was given a bite.
To resurrect.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Christopher Otabor, Medical Director, Alliance Hospital. I'm not adding that. I know you more as a renowned orthopedic surgeon.
Yes, sir.
I know as a renowned orthopedic surgeon in Abuja. Many persons can testify to that. Those of us who have kept faith with ITV and touch base with FCTA. Sometimes when you get this, I'm not trying to do. It's not an advert here, but most persons who have gotten this bone accident issue here, problem around the spines. Well, Dr. Otabor can tell the story. It's a long conversation, a long story. And when you see top government officials running and telling him, please save our lives, bring us back to life, and help us repair our body system. We thank you very much. Very, very helpful here. And so very passionate partner of the ITV family. Thank you. I wish you all the very best. I will pray you go through the legal issues successfully and that God will guide you and guide you all through.